Hello and welcome student. Before we start solving previous tests and exams, I would like to make this important disclaimer. The following will be just a practice exam and it's only intended for revision purposes only. So it has nothing to do with your actual exam. It is not a model for your exam. It's just for you to revise, to test yourself, to practice more, keep yourself with a timer, be in the exam environment. You shouldn't assume the actual exam will be identical to this one. It's also crucial before you start viewing this review is that you complete all the homework problems, look at the lecture notes, and watch the previous video to ensure a thorough preparation for the exam. This is only a practice exam. It's just for revision. It will not help you understand the material. You need to do the homework, lecture notes, watch the videos before you come and see this exam. Okay, welcome student. We will solve a previous final exam. This is just to let you know this is a previous final exam and we will just solve it as practice final exam. And this was for the first semester of 2013-2014, specifically in January of 2024. Now, this exam will just give you an idea of what we are expecting to see as final or real final exam that other student has already taken in the past. So this exam consists of 20 multiple choice questions that need to be filled in this table. As well as you can see down here, we have 4 written questions. So the exam has 2 hours to be solved. My advice to you always after you see this video, replay this video, pause it, and then try to solve this exam by yourself. And then compare your answer. This is the only way you can have a confidence and you know exactly the time management and everything you will need. We'll start with the first question, which is the demand equation for certain product is given by this one here. So you have the demand equation and also you have the supply equation. So we have demand and we have supply, and what's required is to find the producer surplus at the market equilibrium. So to solve this question, I just need to write the equation for the consumer surplus. Now, if you remember the equation for consumer surplus, he needs the producer surplus. For the producer surplus, the equation was you take the equilibrium price minus the supply function, dq. That's the formula. Of course, you have to start from 0 to Q naught. Now, there are 2 information that I don't have yet. What is the equilibrium price? What is the equilibrium quantity? And for that, we can just wait here. And we write the supply, which is 126 minus 3Q. And now, you need to find for me what is the question mark here. How we find it? We go here and we write find the equilibrium point. In order to find the equilibrium point, we need the supply to equal the demand. We have the supply, we make it equal to the demand. That's how we find the equilibrium point. Now, what is the supply? The supply is 8Q plus 60. What is the demand? Is 126 minus 3Q. Of course, you can notice that I did a mistake here. I wrote the demand. I should write the supply, which is 8Q plus 60. Let's go back here. What we need to do, bring the Q together. So we get 8 plus 3, and that's, if we just do it together, it will be 11Q plus 11Q on this side. And here, if we take the 60 to the left, it will be 126 minus 60, and that will be just 66. Once we have those 2 information up here, we can now go ahead and find the equilibrium price, which means Q equal to 6, and that's Q naught. Now, once you have a Q naught equal to 6, what you need to do next is you need to either substitute in the demand or in the supply to find P0. So how to find P0? I will substitute in the demand, which will give me in dollars 108. So I come back here, and now I know this is 108. This is the equilibrium price. And for the quantity, I know now this is just 6. Now this is just an integral we need to do, which will be just 108 minus 60, that's 48, minus 8q dq. Now this is just an integral that we all know how to solve. All what you need to do is just add q to 48, and this one will be q squared, and then we add just 4. Now with your calculator, just substitute 6 and then substitute 0. The final answer will be 144, and that's the producer cell plus. In question number 2, we need to find the area of the region bounded by 2 curves. So we have 2 curves and we need to find the area of the region. And remember, in order to solve such a question, the first step we need to do, we need to sketch the graph. So that's the first step. That we need to do. So we need to sketch the graph of the function. Sketch graph. Now, in order to sketch the graph, we ask ourselves, this is a parabola because it has a degree 2, and it is open downward. Why it is open downward? Because look, there is a negative in front of the a. So a is less than 0. How much a is? negative 3. Now, remember, for the parabola, there are 3 important numbers: c, a, and the number in front of x, which is b. In this case, it's equal to 0. Now, how do we sketch the parabola? We know the parabola is open downward. We need to find this point, which we call it the vertex. How do we find the vertex? Now, the vertex consists of 2 numbers, x and y. How do we find x? X is just negative b divided by 2a. Now, I know that a is negative 3. How about b? b is 0. So the answer is 0. So the x-axis for the vertex is 0. How about the y-axis? The y-axis, just substitute 0 instead of x. You get 18. So the y-axis is 18. And now I can sketch this parabola here. How do we sketch it? We find the vertex, which is 0, 18. And we sketch it going downward. Of course, this is just a small sketch. That's how we do it. Now, the other one, this one, is a horizontal line. Horizontal line. And how do we know it's a horizontal line? Because it is y equal just a number. Now, if it is vertical line, it will be x equal to a certain number. And of course, if it's a usual line, y equal, for example, 2x plus 3, this is just a usual line where we substitute values for the x, we get values for the y, and we sketch the line. So if we do it here, we have to do it at 6, and then we have just to sketch it like this. Now, where is my region? This is my region. I need to find 2 important points, which is this one. We call them the intersection point in order to continue. So the next step, find the intersection points. How do we find the intersection point? We take the y in red, we make it equal the y in orange. The y in red is 18 minus x squared. The y in orange is just 6. So if we do it, we get negative x squared plus 12 equal to 2. That's how we will get. Sorry, it is 3x squared here. So we get negative 3x squared. If we solve this mod 5 for 3, the answer is negative 2 and 2. So this number is 2. This is negative 2. So far, everything is clear. All what you need to do now is to find what is the top and what is the bottom if you put a rectangle in the middle. So I'll put a rectangle in the middle and find the top and the bottom. How we find the top and the bottom? So the area equal integral of dx minus. Now, if you look at this graph, we can see that the top function is always the red one. So, and the bottom is the orange one. So the top and we have the bottom. Now, all what you need to do we just need to write the top function and minus the bottom function, and of course the integration will be from minus 2 to 2. So here the top, and then we have the bottom. So top minus bottom. And the integration from negative 2 to 2. Now this integral from negative 2 to 2, the top function was 18 minus 3x squared. The bottom function was just 6 dx. Of course, you can now solve it directly, or you can simplify it. I'll simplify it. 18 minus 6, this is 12 minus 3x squared dx. Now this is just from negative 2 to 2. What is 12? It would be 12x minus x cubed. Why it's x cubed? Because x squared, the integral of x squared is just x cubed over 3, and there is a 3, so it will divide. Now, if you use your calculator, if you substitute 2, you will get two numbers. The first one is substitute x equal to 2. You get 16 here. Now, do the same. Substitute x equal to negative 2. You will get negative 16 here. If you do it all in all, the answer is just 32. And that's the answer for this question. Let's go to the next question. Next question, we need to find the average value. So there is a formula for the average value. We just need to write the formula and we apply it. The formula says the average value is 1 over b minus a, integral from a to b, f of x dx, which will give you b is 5, a is 2, and then you have integral from 2 to 5. F of x is just 2x plus 3 dx, which is equal 1 over 3. And then we have the integral from 2 to 5, which is x squared plus 3x. All what you need to do is substitute 5 and then substitute 2. The final, if you substitute 5, of course, you would get two numbers and you need to subtract them. If you substitute 5, this would just give you 45. It would be 5 squared plus 3 times 5, which is 40. If you substitute 2, you get 4 plus 6, which is 10. And that is just 1 over 3 times 30. So the final answer is just 10. That's for the average value. Now, the final thing and final question in the written question before we move to the multiple choice questions is how we find if we were given the marginal revenue. Remember, if you have the marginal cost, marginal something, this means I'm asking you to find the derivative. So please find you have the derivative, what is the original question? So in order to find what is C of a Q, we need to do the integration of the derivative. So we get back the original function. And this function is written as 4Q plus 40 dq, which is, if we do it, this is just 4Q. If we do it, it will become Q squared over 2, but there is a 4, so it will become 2Q squared. 40 will be just 40Q. And finally, you will have a constant, usually we call it D. Now, how do we find this D? We have this information. Let me just put a line here. We have this information. If Q equal 25, C will be 3000. So if we just substitute 25, the answer will be 3000. Now, from this one, just substitute 25, 25, and see what you will get. So you will do 25 everywhere. Plus D. And the answer should be 3000. Now, if we do that correctly, the answer for D alone will be just 750. And that's my D. Once you have your D, you can go back and write the original answer for yourself. So C of a Q equal 2Q squared plus 40Q plus 750. Finally, in the question, it's asked me, how is the cost if I substitute 30? So all what we will do, we substitute 30, which means this is 30, this is 30, we get the answer. So if I just do it step by step, this is 2, 30 squared plus 40, 30 plus 75. And that's the final answer, which is 3750. Next, we will do many multiple choice questions. And now we will continue to the multiple choice question part. We will start with the first question, which we need to find this limit. And the first step in finding this limit, we need to expand this square. Remember, if you want to expand a plus b all square, all what you do is you take a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and that's the way we expand the square, and this is what we will do up here for this bracket. So the first step in solving this question is this limit will equal limit as h goes to 0. You have the 7, we expand this square, minus 7x squared divided by h. How do we expand this square? We just write x squared 2xh plus h squared, and that's equal to limit as h goes to 0, which take the 7 inside. So we get 7x squared plus 14xh plus 7h squared minus 7x squared divided by h. And now we just need to cancel 7x squared with 7x squared. So we get into 14xh plus 7h squared divided by h. You can see that we have an h here and h squared here, so we can take it as common factor. So we will end up with limit h goes to 0. If we take h as common factor, what's left is 14x plus 7h divided by h. Cancel h with h. We get into limit as h goes to 0, 14x plus 7h. If we substitute 0 instead of h, we get 14x. And that should be that final answer for this question, which correspond to part C here. Question number 2, I'll solve it down here. So let me just change the color. Let me solve it here. So question number 2 would be here. First of all, this is question number 2. We have ln of x cubed square root of x plus 4. Well, the first step first, remember the ln can be distributed into the product. If there is a product, we can distribute the ln. So this y equal ln of x power 3 plus ln of x power 4. Let me write the square root as power half. It's the same. Square root and power half are the same. I will write it in that way. The reason why, because now the 3 will go down, the half will go down in front of the ln. So y would be equal 3 ln x plus half ln x plus 4. And now we get just y prime equal to 3 over x, because the derivative of ln x is 1 over x. Now what is the derivative of ln u? You just write u, and in the top you write u prime. So we get plus half x plus 4, and then in the top you write the derivative of the denominator, which is 1. So that's the final answer, which correspond to the answer of P. As you can see, B is almost the same as our question. Now, let me go to question part 3, which we have y equal x over x plus 2 squared. How do we find the derivative? I will use the chain rule. So if you use the chain rule, it says forget about the inside. What is the derivative of the outer function? It will go down and we subtract 1. So we'll get 2 power 1. Now whatever inside will remain inside. And now you need to find the derivative of the inside. How do we find the derivative of the inside? We use the product rule, the quotient rule. So we get denominator square, denominator times derivative of the numerator minus numerator times derivative of the denominator. Now, denominator, numerator, what is the derivative of x? You write it down here, which is 1. So we write just 1. And then derivative of the denominator, which is x plus 2, again, it is 1. We need just to simplify this one a bit. So we get 2x, x plus 2. Down here we get x plus 2 squared. And here we have x plus 2 minus x. So the final answer, if we do it all together, it would be x plus 2 power 3. Now what we got here negative x with x. And you have 2 with 2. So you get 4, and then you have x. Which answer, similar to this one, it is part D. Remember, those are multiple choice questions. You can solve them by any method you like, any method you're familiar with. You can just go ahead and solve them. Now, this is very important. Just let me remind you what is the integral of derivative of EAX. Derivative of this, we have a formula. The formula says that keep the e, and now the number in front of x, you just write it down here. So this will be just if we do it, it would be y equal e to x. So the first derivative would be just 2e to x. Second derivative will be 2, and then we'll have another 2. So we get 4e to x. And finally, the third derivative, which is the one in the question, will be e to x. And then we have 4 times 2, which is 8. So the answer is 8. Now we go to this integral, which is a simple integral. Integral of minus 3 divided by x squared dx. This is the same as minus 3x minus 2. How we do this derivative? Keep the minus 3. And how do we find the derivative of x negative 2? You add 1, so you will get x negative 1, and then you divide by this number, which is negative 1. So the final answer would be just 3x negative 1, which is 3 over x. And that's part B here. Next question, we have a formula of u power 8 times u prime. Remember, this is the product rule. This is u, and this is u prime. So the integral will be u power 9 divided by 9. And what is u? U is whatever was inside the bracket, which is 2x cubed plus 1, which correspond to part E. This question, we need to split the denominator. So this will be 6x squared divided x minus 4 divided x, which is just 6x minus 4 divided x. And that would be just x squared, 3x squared minus 4 ln x plus c, which correspond to this one here. Next question, again, it has the same formula as before. If this is u prime. So all what you need to do is you need to write 4 here and divide by 4. So we get 1 over 4. And then we do just the ln, x4 plus 2. Why is the ln? Because if you have u and here you have u prime, the integral is u absolute value of ln. So we get this answer, and that answer is just P. Next one is this integral, which we just did it here. I will take this one here. And remember, we have a formula says that e power ax, keep it as it is, and divide by e. So this integral would be just 6, keep the e, and divide by the number in front of x, which is minus 2. 6 divided by minus 2, this is minus 3e minus 2x, which correspond to e. Question number 10, we have the marginal revenue. Remember, when we see the word marginal revenue, we know that this is the derivative of this function. Find the total revenue. How to find the total revenue, which is R of Q. It will be the integral of the derivative. What is the integral of the derivative? It is just 2e.01q dq equal to, we keep the e as it is, and then we divide by, keep the 2, divide by the number in front of the e. Of course, plus a constant d that we need to find. Now, if we do this in the calculator, this will be 200e.01q plus this number d, which we need to find now. How do we find d? Substitute q equal to 0. Why we do that? Because we know that R of 0, the revenue of I don't sell anything, is 0. So you will get 200 E.010 plus this number, which is D, equal to 0, which means 200 plus this number D equal to 0. So this number, which is D, should equal negative 200. And which one corresponds to this answer? It is part B. Let's see, the next question is we need to find the point where the function has a horizontal tangent line. First of all, what does it mean, horizontal tangent line? Tangent line means the slope should be equal to 0. Why the slope? Because tangent line has a slope equal to 0. Now, which slope? Slope of the tangent line. And remember, the slope of the tangent line, it means the derivative. So we need to find where f of x equal to 0. And that means 8 minus 2x minus x squared equal to 0. If we solve it mod 5 3, we supposed to get two answers. And those answers are just if we just do it with the calculator, here we get 2. And we should get also negative 4. Now, can you see that none of these answers correspond to those? Okay, so we just leave this question. These are the answer that we should get. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I did a mistake here. I didn't find the derivative, so just apologize. Please, we need to find the derivative. So the derivative is minus 2 minus 2x, which means minus 2x equal 2, and that suggests x equal to negative 1. Now, there are two answers with negative 1, this one or this one. Which one should I choose? Substitute here negative 1, substitute here negative 1. So you will get 8 minus 2 minus 1. Substitute here and here, which is 5. Again, none of these is there. So we have two answers, but none of them is there. Next question, it says that if the instantaneous rate of change, which is another word to saying the derivative, is 10, write the equation of the tangent line to this graph. Remember the equation of the tangent line, and by the way, it is the equation of any line, is given by y minus y1 equal m, which is the slope, minus x, x1. Now, what is y1? y1 is given to you here. It is negative 8. What is x1? Is 1 given to you here, which is 4. Now, what is the slope? That's the question. It is the slope of the tangent line. And the tangent line is the derivative. And it's given to you that the derivative is 10. So you substitute 10. Here we get y plus 8 equal 10x minus 40. So y alone will be just 10x minus 48, which is part C here. Of course, this one, I'm sorry, if we substitute, we get 9. If we substitute negative 1 here, we get 9. Now, determine whether the function is concave upward or downward at x equal to 2. What does it mean, concave upward or downward? We need to find the second derivative. Which is 6x minus 6. And now we need to substitute just 2. If we substitute 2, we get 6, which is positive, so it is concave upward. Find the interval where the function is decreasing. In order to find where the function is decreasing, first of all, we need to find the critical numbers, and we do the number line. So derivative of this, x minus 1 equal to 0, which means x equal to 1. If we do the number line, we write 1 in the middle, and here you need to find the sign of f prime of x. Choose any number which is less than 1, which is 0. If we choose 0, this area would be just negative, and this is positive. Remember, we want to know where the function is negative. It is from negative infinity to 1, and that corresponds to question 15. We are giving you the derivative. We want the original function. Remember, f of x is just the integral of f prime of x dx, which is just the integral of 7x power 6 dx. If we do that, this is x power 7 plus c, which is part c. Why? Because you add 1 to the power, we get 7 here, and then you divide by 7, get cancelled. Question 16, we want to cancel the integral to find f of x. So all what you need to do is find the derivative of this one. How do we find the derivative of this one? We use the chain rule. 5, derivative of something power 5 is 5 to the power of 4. Keep the inner function, and then find for me the derivative of the inner function, which is 6x. So the final answer will be 30x 3x squared plus 1, which is part D. Question number 17. We have this question here. You want the integral from -1 to 1. But I don't have it directly. I have it from -1 to 0 and then from 0 to 2. Remember, all what we need to do is we add those. So if we add them, we get just 3. Next question, I already did it here for you. We have to use u to the power of a number. So it will be u power 5, and then we divide by the factor of x. We get 10 here. Last question is this one. Just need to rewrite it down into 1 over 3 dx. Now you have 1 over 3. Now this one, you add 1, you get 4 over 3, and then you divide by it. So it will be 1 divided by 4 over 3. They will get cancelled. You get 4 over 3, which is just this one. Last question is the easiest one. This one has no x. So if there is no x, the derivative is 0. Again, I advise you to go over all exam again, solve it by yourself, and then compare your answer with mine and check if you get it correctly or not and what is needed.